Hello and welcome to Consciousness Cafe. I am Carrie Cannon, joined by
Sandra Miller.
And we are here today to talk to you about really the kinds of things that are important in our lives. And Sandra and I both have different areas of expertise, but they both rely on consciousness. And I'm really excited about talking to Sandra today because we're sort of extending a conversation. I have struggled with a weight loss journey my whole life, been up and down, and I have a picture of myself behind me actually, where I was after I had 2 kids, where this is me, and I look like Princess Diana.
Yes.
I don't look like right now, but of course that's my, personal goal, and I still have the dress. So, but Sandra is really focused on helping us to work with our bodies to have the best body that we can. So I'm just going to start off with a question, and I'm going to let Sandra sort of take over from here. So Sandra, I've noticed that when I'm sort of on my, weight loss journey, so I've probably lost about 35 pounds in the last year. And, I've got another 35 that I would like to lose. But I noticed that when I get really good sleep, my body tends to let go. So it's like lose weight while you're sleeping. And I know that you are focusing on that a lot, and that's sort of your area of expertise. So can you explain a little bit how our circadian rhythms work, and how we can work with our natural rhythms to have the perfect body?
Sure. And, my website is called Amplified Health Now, because I want to give people solutions that they can do simply, easily, and cost effectively now that make big differences tomorrow and for all your tomorrows. But I had a weight problem. I was over 88 pounds overweight at one point in time. And I had lost a good deal of weight by the time I was about 28, 29 years old. And then I started a fitness career. And I will really condense a long story and make it short, was that everybody thinks you're supposed to eat less and exercise more. That's always the mentality when it comes, oh, well, I'm just eating too much. Oh, well, I'm not exercising enough. And I'm not going to discount any of that whatsoever, but it's not just that. It all boils down to light. And instead of sitting here waiting for somebody to discover something amazing, we already have something amazing if we just honor it and work with it, Carrie. And it's like we talked about this morning, it all boils down to light. So what some people don't realize about circadian biology and circadian rhythms is that, yes, okay, if you get on a plane and you cross time zones, there's going to be jet lag. But that's because of this internal clock. Or if you stay up too late, you burn the midnight oil, yes, you're going to be tired. Yes, you're going to wake up. Now, Carrie, you even said this morning, you're like, I was a little brain foggy this morning. I was just not with it. And that's because these rhythms have 24-hour fixed periods. So it means that you can stay up late all you want and get up late all you want. You're not changing your internal clock. It stays the same, and that's what makes it so tough. So we're all aware of the chronology that happens when we have our first menses as a woman, or, we go into menopause or puberty, or those are all dictates of your circadian clock. But I think it really is important to know that no matter how much you try to fix bad timing, you can't fix bad timing. You just have to work with your body's internal clock, and things start to shift really quickly. So the first part of this circadian biology is remember what the first words were, and then there was light, right? So we wake up in the morning, the dawn comes, and between 6 and 10 o'clock, we have this peak positioning where if we get light in our retina, this whole series and cascade of hormonal things and neurological things begin to happen in a favorable way. So if you're someone who goes to bed late at night, you're not getting up till, let's say, 11 o'clock in the morning, you're missing out on something that your body would do naturally, and it can set you back. And then, of course, the habits that we have to go through the day are going to kind of compound that problem. Light in your eye starts this really cool process with DHA and your hypothalamus. So this is all stuff that's going on behind the scenes. You're not really aware of it, but it really affects your ability to burn body fat or not burn body fat. So light in your eye in the morning is number one. Questions, or should I kind of elaborate?
That's great. So all right, so the light in your eye in the morning gets your metabolism going, or it gets your hormones going. So how exactly does that
That's a great question. I think the even better question is which hormones? Because we have a lot of hormones, right? The hormones of fat loss, leptin, ghrelin, insulin, those are the three major ones. There's another minor one, but there's three major signaling molecules. That's what hormones are. They're signaling molecules. They deliver light information all around your body into all of your glands and organs, right? So this signaling, if you wake up in the morning and you get light in your eye, we are very primitive in our biology. We're a light being inside a physical biological body, right? So we have to work with both of those things. It's easy enough to work with the light part of it, but the body part, that's where it gets a little tough. So if you wake up in the morning, you get this light in your eye, it does signal DHA, which signals the hypothalamus, and then your body understands from an informational perspective, all is right in the world. You survived another day. Now, the challenge is, will you eat, and are you going to be able to procreate, which is one of the things we're here for, or regenerate, or neither? So that's really what when we wake up, these signals say, hey, I'm alive. I'm on this side of the ground today. Yay, that's great. Is there food, or is food scarce? And I love fasting just as much as anybody, but I can tell you, when you put together functional medicine, biohacking, light and energy, and circadian rhythms, fasting in the morning doesn't work long-term. Because it's signaling there's no food. So if there's no food, procreation is going to be probably not a good thing to do. And maybe we don't even have the energy to regenerate.
That's really interesting, because I've noticed that I've done intermittent fasting before, and it works for like a week, maybe two. And then after that, like, it's completely stops. I've read the books and all of that. And it's just, it's interesting, because last year when I started losing weight, I was intermittent fasting. And then I was like hardcore. So I would go like 3 days on a water fast, and I was losing zero. I was losing nothing. And, then you hear these people say, oh, it's, you must be doing something wrong. It's all about, you should exercise more and eat less. And I'm like, screw you, buddy. You're wrong. Because I'm like basically starving myself and not losing any weight. And then I joined Weight Watchers, and they had you eat more, and I was eating like so much more, and I was actually losing weight. And I've noticed that there are certain things that if I eat it at night, so, one would think like, so I like to make popcorn, but I don't make it in those bags because I hear that they're carcinogenic.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a pot, and I just sit like this on my stovetop for, 5 minutes.
Like we used to do, when we were kids.
Yeah. And so I'll eat a pot of popcorn thinking that it's good for me, but I'll eat it at like 7 o'clock, or, and I'll make that in a cup of tea. And I noticed that when I eat a big thing of popcorn, I don't lose weight. Like overnight, it's kind of like, oh, I'm exactly where I was the day before. And if I start fasting earlier, like instead of like, because I have a day job too. So instead of coming home from work and then, eating something, if I just like have a cup of tea or something like that, or eat something really, really light, then the next day, or, not at all, then the next day it'll seem as if I've lost a half pound or a pound or something like that. So there's something it has something to do with, eating later. And I don't even feel like I'm necessarily eating that late, but it's like eating later doesn't allow my body to sort of let go the way that it does when I'm not. And it's not like I'm starving. So can you talk about that maybe a little bit? Like why, if I'm eating popcorn, which is something that's good for you, is that, like let's say I eat it at 8 o'clock, because that seems about the time that I would, make it. Why doesn't that work? Where if I have something that's maybe has a different composition, like maybe more protein or fat, why does it seem that I can lose weight?
That's a really good question. So part of my light diet reset method is the type of fuel that you have. So when we think of fuel and macros, people know that as protein, fat, or carbs, right? They all have a different way that they're used. They all do different things, but protein is actually a tissue builder. Like I don't look at protein as a macro from the perspective of, that eating protein is only going to help me burn fat if I don't overeat it, because it's a tissue builder and it's the highest metabolic output of any of the three. It doesn't take much energy to burn a carbohydrate. They burn quickly and you're hungry quickly, right? And even though fats and protein have the same amount of calories per gram, protein is really active because your body has to work really hard to break that down into amino acids, which are usable, right? So that takes a lot of calories to do that work. So when you eat protein, you're burning more calories because your body has to do the work just to break it down. Now, fats have a different process, but see, fats are signalers. So fats are actually one of the best things to eat at any meal or at all meals, because fats don't raise insulin. And insulin is the signaling molecule that says, can I release fat or am I storing it? So the popcorn, if we go back to the popcorn, which is a carbohydrate, two things with the popcorn. A, it's GMO. So it's a toxin now that your body has to store. And where's it going to store it? In your fat cells, right? So if I don't know if there's many people out there who would be happy with this statement, but even they call them chicharron. It's a pork rind. That would be a better option. I'm not a fan of snacking, and I always coach away from snacking, but I have a little rule around it. But that's why there's a difference. Plus, carbohydrates hold their weight in water. So if you had a carbohydrate at the end of the day, 8 o'clock, let's just say 7 or 8 o'clock, now it's holding its weight in water. Whereas the protein actually had to burn more calories. If it was a small amount of protein, you would have had to burn more calories just to break that down.
Okay.
And it might raise your insulin a little bit, because protein can be insulinogenic if you have too much. Protein can break down into glucose. Your body does this little process called gluconeogenesis. It just means that it's making new glucose from protein. And this is just because, again, we are biological organisms. So if we're not getting some carbohydrate, your body's going to make it. But it's fat that is the driver of your metabolic machinery, which are those little mitochondria, the little energy factories. That's the driver of it all. So fats are really one of the best sources of calories, and they're satiating.
So we're always, we've been told, or my whole life at least, it's funny because, in the old days, people would eat bacon and eggs for breakfast, and they'd have sausage, and they'd have whatever that was like loaded and, like full cream milk and, all of that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it seems currently in our current society, now we're having issues where we're like, okay, how do I lose weight? And it seems like only in the last, like, I don't know, 50 to 100 years that we've had these kinds of issues. So how can you help? So I'm hearing you say that, fat is a good thing, where we didn't used to be afraid of fat, in the old days. Nobody was, they were like, bacon, yeah, bring it on. And now we're shying away from that. So basically what you're saying is eat like we did 100 years ago, it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, here's what happened, Kerry. That's about exactly how long it was, just in the early 60s. What ended up happening was, and I'll make this brief, but the government had these two scientists that they respected, but they had two different viewpoints. The man who has made us fat, his name is Ansel Keys. I'm calling him out because he's the one that did this to us. And they loved him at the FDA and in the government. And so he cherry picked his data. He was cherry picking data that supported the fact that he wanted to say we should be eating more grains because his pocket was being padded by this new agricultural revolution that was just occurring. So it was kind of like a lobbyist type of thing where he said, I'm going to say this, you're going to pay me to say this, the government's going to take these recommendations and it's going to apply to everybody. And we know that as the food pyramid. And you can clearly see the data if you look over decades since the 6 to 11 servings of grains was the base of the pyramid. You can see the data steadily go up in rates of heart disease, stroke, obesity, mortality, and all that stuff. Now, the other guy's data was good too. But again, they cherry picked what they wanted the outcome to be. So that's where Keys got his, he was willing to be paid to play, and he did. And so here we are now. But Dr. Ron Rosedale, I'd love to quote him because this is really a powerful statement. Dr. Ron Rosedale is a brilliant guy, and he will say to you, the quality and duration of your life is directly tied to where your calories come from, fat versus sugar, or glucose or grains or whatever you want to call it, things that raise insulin. So every time you raise your insulin, you're shortening your life. Every time. So that makes a big statement when we look at poor people that are, the people that are vegan and vegetarian, what are they eating? And they still can't get well. So fats have been vilified. I actually do a whole training, and I'm going to release a video and show you my lab results before and after I ate 80% fat for 9 months.
Wow. It's funny.
Very interesting.
A couple years ago, I met somebody and she said that she lost like a ridiculous amount of weight by eating cream cheese. Now, I'm not saying anybody should just go and eat cream cheese all day long, but it was just fascinating to me because she was like, yeah, I eat a block of cream cheese every day, and that's what I've been eating for the last however many months. And it sounds really, really far-fetched. And it's like, aren't you like ready to keel over and have a heart attack? But I don't remember how much weight she lost because it was a few years ago, but it was ridiculous. It was like 50 pounds in 4 months or something like outrageous. And, that's something that I would be afraid of. Personally, I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to stock my refrigerator with cream cheese because I'm afraid I'd die of a heart attack.
Yeah. And that wouldn't be the concern. You wouldn't die of a heart attack because fats don't cause heart attacks. Cholesterol is not bad. That's the biggest BS line I ever heard in my life. But see, here's the deal. Saturated fat doesn't oxidize. It's the only fat that doesn't oxidize. And what causes inflammation in your arteries and all the problems we have is oxidized LDL. Saturated fat doesn't do that. So you can eat all the pork rinds and bacon you want, just make it clean bacon, but you still have to have light. So that cream cheese, unless she was eating greens and blueberries and stuff like that, during the day with her cream cheese wouldn't really be that healthy. If she was doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. I would put bacon grease in my salad. I cooked all my food with bacon grease, bacon grease, bacon grease. I was eating the fattiest meats. I lost the last 10 pounds, and my blood work was absolutely unheard of. Like, it was just, I lost every bit of inflammation I gained eating less and exercising more. So I learned a valuable lesson, and I was able to, everything I do is by the numbers. I take my blood sugar all the time. I always know where I am. That's the only way you can know if the amount of carbohydrates you're eating are affecting you. Are you raising insulin, and where's your blood sugar? So it's a $10 test at Walmart. You buy a little box of the sticks. You don't even need a prescription. Rely on, I think it's called. And you can check. If you're in the 90s, it's time to cut out some carbs. It's, that's just, that's the time to do it, and not wait.
Right. So when I kind of lost my question. So when we're like looking at these things, so we're told that, eating lots of protein, can help you lose weight, but you're saying there's a limit on that, because your body, if you eat too much protein, it will then turn it into glucagon. Is that what you said? Or
it's called gluconeogenesis.
Oh,
it turns it into sugar if there's too much. And,
Okay.
the bodybuilders are famous for that. Protein, protein, protein. And then they burn out their kidneys. And here's the other thing with protein. Remember, if I'm talking about cell signaling, right? That's what I'm talking about, is what information is my body getting? And I mentioned the light in the eye. Grounding, energy coming up from the ground, right? So we have to have a bidirectional flow of energy to be able to power our battery packs, which is what our heart is electromagnetic, all of those things. But when you have too much protein, that signals another protein called mTOR, and that will shorten your life. So literally 3 ounces 3 times a day, or about 75 grams for a woman, is probably all they need, just over 100 for a guy. Guys, when they're bodybuilding, it's not the protein that makes the muscle, it's the action of the exercise. And, this is, now I know why they call them meatheads sometimes, because they're not thinking biologically. They're, you need to eat, X amount of grams of protein, and you need to drink these protein shakes. And no, it's the exercise that's stimulating the muscle growth. Even if my son is a vegan, and he's like this, it's the exercise. So we really have a lot of misinformation out there. But the Light Diet Reset takes circadian biology and adds energy medicine, grounding every day, light in your eye by a certain time every day, going to bed, shutting off the blue light at a certain time. So it doesn't mean you can't watch TV till 11 o'clock. It just means you put on your blue blockers at 8:30 and shut the blue light out, because this light is information. And that's really what it all boils down to.
So Sandra, you have like a document, or you have something that people can actually learn more and read, because we're different types of learners and stuff like that. So where can people find out more about how to work with their natural biorhythms to help them maintain their perfect physique?
Well, I can drop the Light Diet Reset guide. I do have a mini course. It's like a self-study course. It has a few audio modules in that for $97, and that's going to be going up on my Unleash the Awesome Within School probably by tomorrow. So it's the guide, but it's explaining a little bit more and a little bit in detail. I give you a lot of light resets. I work off of what's called the methylation diet, which is a functional medicine protocol for overcoming autoimmune conditions and overweight, and really just about any health condition, because you're feeding your metabolic machinery with these foods, and they're foods we all eat. They're greens, they're meats and chickens, but they have the highest amount of methylation potential. And then I separate it from the highest to the lowest. So you formulate your diet from that. I have a perfect plate guide, so you know what you're eating and how much. It's very simple to follow. And you just follow it along, and in 5 or 6 weeks, you've probably already lost a few pounds. You're feeling great, sleeping great.
What's the link to that?
It's not on the site yet, but I'm still working on putting everything together. But it is unleashtheawesomewithin.com, and it's called the Light Diet Reset. Now, I also have a program that I'm running in January. It's called the Fueled Metabolic Reset, but we use the Light Diet Reset as a foundation. So the Light Diet Reset is coming up, but the Fueled Metabolic Reset is up there. So that'll be coming up. That has live coaching sessions, whereas this one is more self-directed.
Okay. So now we get to the part of the call or whatever video where I'm going to do a consciousness alignment. And so to help people sort of become in alignment with their natural biorhythms and all of that, I think I'm going to do one for, just to help people listen to their body and to become in alignment with being able to listen to their body and what their body is asking them to do. And like, just to give you an example, like when I, come home from my day job, it's either do I want something to eat or do I want to sleep? And I should probably, just forget the eat and just go to sleep. But I'm going to do a consciousness alignment for that. For those of you who have never experienced a consciousness alignment before I do this, I'll tell you about it because I may forget about it afterwards. I have an entire library of consciousness alignments that you can access at healingcenter.com. And I've got over 100 consciousness alignments there. And on the main page, there's like a really nice long 13-minute one for financial abundance. And you can also participate in group calls where I will do consciousness alignments at your request. So anyway, so here's one that I'm going to do for helping you to align with your natural biorhythms. And here we go. And I close my eyes when I do this, but I'll try not. Well, yeah, I'm going to close my eyes. So to receive a consciousness alignment, all you need to do is listen to my words and pay attention intently. So if if you have kids around or stuff going on around, or the TV is on, or you need to wash dishes or whatever, wait until later to listen to it, or listen to it again later, because it's most effective when you are listening intently and you say yes to yourself. And then what that does is it allows your higher mind or higher consciousness to do the work for you. So it's like a prayer of grace. And because of the work that I've done, that we'll get into in a different call, over the last 30 years or so, I have really focused on trying to discover and recognize or learn how to harness consciousness. And now I can do that on behalf of others. So here we go. Thank you, divine consciousness that lives in, through, and as all things, is both the voice that speaks and the ear that hears, is every thought, every potentiality, every person, every place, every idea, every single moment of now. Thank you, thank you, thank you for aligning this person now with being able to listen to their body, listen to their natural rhythms, listen to themselves so that they can create their perfect and most comfortable physical expression now, and that they can be healthy across all time, space, dimension, and reality. Thank you for helping this person to release any conditioning that they have adopted and integrated into their lives, and allow them with grace to simply listen to their body and listen to their intuition as it comes to food now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And as it comes to rest now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for releasing them, going down their mother's side of the family and their father's side of the family, going back 10,000 generations of any self-shame or doubt or anything that they feel makes them inferior now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for replacing those negative feelings, those limiting thoughts, those disempowering ideas with new empowering ideas and a confidence in themselves where they can powerfully listen to their intuition and follow the path that will bring the most fulfillment in themselves, in their bodies, in their lives, because however we feel about ourselves is how we express in our lives. And we see that reflected in our interactions. So thank you, thank you, thank you for releasing this person from any shoulds. Release this person from shoulding on themselves as it relates to their diet, their sleep habits, their life habits, now across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And thank you for imprinting this person now with a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new relationship with themselves, their bodies, their food, and their lifestyle, so that they can be at ease with themselves and allow themselves to be the authority on how they should live, how they should eat, how they should move, how they should sleep, how they should live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's already done. Thank you. It's already done now. Thank you. It's already done now. And so it is. Okay, take a deep breath and push it all out. Take another deep breath and push it all out. And if you have enjoyed this conversation with Sandra and myself, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and give us comments. So if you have a topic that you would like for us to talk about or discuss, or a consciousness alignment that you'd like done, Sandra and I have a pretty broad experience in things, and we have some pretty high level conversations and can look at things from a different, broader perspective. So again, my website is healingcenter.com, and take it away, Sandra.
Mine is amplifiedhealthnow.com. It is in the works, but a portion of it is up there that you can see some of it. And the programs will be available up there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Sandra.
Thanks, Carrie. Bye.
Bye.